How do you think the system works at Westminster when the debate turns to the subject of legislation, not from ministers but from backbenchers, MPs not in government creating new bills that are meant to be sent through both houses where eventually they will achieve royal assent? Do you think the MPs draft a bill and if it's good enough, more than half of them will vote it through and it'll become a law? Because that's what we pay the MPs for, right? Apart from scrutiny and representation, they're in that place for legislation. I hate to say it, but if you think that that's the case, then you may have cause for hesitation. By way of an explanation, let's start with a best case scenario. Because half the time, the private member's bill we're hoping will pass hasn't even been drafted. Not because the MP can't be asked, but because they know there's not a chance of it being passed or given time outside of Friday, and most won't see the light of day. So for 628 of 650 MPs to have their say on the laws they want made, in a year they're given 13 days. Except they're not, because the bills debated can still be blocked, not by a majority government voting against them or making a convincing case that they shouldn't stay in the system, but by wasting time to try and resist them. In the 18 years between 1997 and 2015, out of 1,977 private members' bills brought forth, 103 became a law, many of which would have been handed out to backbench MPs by the government. The time has come to turn the discussion to the subject of filibustering, the practice of wasting taxpayers' cash by actively stating you're taking your place in the chamber that day just to make sure enough time's wasted that the bills that are meant to be being debated most likely won't have time for a vote. And by the way, those that take part in this parliamentary farce don't do anything to mask what they're hoping to achieve. They are completely open and say that they're following parliamentary procedure. On November the 6th, in 2016, there should have been a parliamentary debate on off-patent drugs making cheap and effective medication easily available to those in need. The reason this bill never made it to the stage and wasn't debated beyond the first page was because on the day the MPs spent 3.5 hours talking about Peter Pan. The Speaker can stop this from happening. When a petition did the rounds online and over 50,000 people must have signed to try and make filibustering a crime, the government's response to this petition was to refer the signatories to Standing Order 36 and 42. Standing Order 36 allows members to request that this section of the session be brought to a close by suggesting that the question be now put. No more debating, let's call a vote. But Standing Order 36 can be blocked if there's insufficient MPs sitting. You see, Friday is the only time they have in their constituency. Standing Order 42 means the Speaker can order an MP to discontinue in their diction if they engage in irrelevance or repetition. But in the second half of the 20th century, Standing Order 42, which is meant to be able to prevent MPs using this tactic and keep them in line, was only enacted 21 times. You know what? Forget all this bland, boring, piss-poor, complicated crap. Standing order this and legislative that. How is it even remotely okay for someone to say that today they're going to be getting paid to sit in the chamber doing sweet FA? We have a nation of people dying in the street, having to choose between food and heating their homes, crossing their fingers whenever they phone the emergency services, knowing there's ample chance they'll get to hospital in a body bag instead of an ambulance. hoping the NHS will have enough funds not to kill them while they decide whether to clothe or feed their children. How can anyone argue it's right to watch the poor suffer from lofty heights while you decide to let they who pay your wages die, so you can sit in the chambers wasting time? There's not a lot of options we've got. We gave them their jobs and trusted them, and now this is just what we've got to live with. We're alone and we're stuck. Because the ones who could fix this have shown they don't give a fuck. We are the state. They're our employees. We pay them $76,000 to do as they please. We put them in power because they made us believe. Now they choose not to act, while we die on our knees.